You can't have a relationship with your grandchildren if parents don't want you around. If you have made it difficult for them to invite you into their life, they're not going to do that. They're going to hold you at arm's length. And today's parents are very different from parents of the past.
Welcome to The Lisa Show, where we take a good look at life. I have a confession. It's obvious, I'm sure, but I feel like I have to be careful who I share it with because for very good reasons, I cannot say this to my kids, and that's why I'm sharing it with you. I need grandchildren. Listen, I have 5 kids. They are all officially adults now. I know they don't owe me anything, and I don't want them to feel any pressure, but I'm just dying for a grandbaby, and not a fur baby. I know that's meaningful to the rising generation to say, here, Mom and Dad, you can be grandparents to our Yorkie poo. Now, if that happens, for the record, I'm delighted to be invited in, and honestly just thrilled to get a call from my kids with an update about their lives, full stop. Will I send a gift on Amazon? Of course. Will it be the same as holding a grandchild in my arms and watching my children embark on the sacred adventure of parenthood and have perfect empathy after so many years for why I'm obsessed with them and love them so much I just want to squish their faces? No. And I know I sound a little crazed. With every passing year, I feel a little more crazed about it. So while there may not be anything I can do to bring the day closer when I become a grandma or lovey, not that I've thought about that name, at least I figured the least I could do would be to prepare for that day. Because as my kids like to point out, I want it too much. And if I've learned anything over 5 kids in the last few decades, it's that every big transition in my family comes with a learning curve, here to prepare all of us for that big learning curve and maximize the joy in being a grandparent while minimizing the friction is DeeDee Moore, founder of the blog and resource center More Than Grand. DeeDee broke down for me in very specific terms how to establish a healthy grandparent relationship and also how to avoid the big mistakes that a lot of people make, usually without even knowing it, at the beginning of their grandparenting journey. As it turns out, the world we raised our kids in is completely different from the one where our kids, God willing, may it come to pass, will raise theirs. But there's so much we can do, so many good conversations and expectations and plans to work on now, which can set the framework for happy, healthy grandparenting. And even a few things that can help repair that relationship if it didn't start off on the right foot. Meet DeeDee Moore.
Well, I am DeeDee Moore. I have 4 children and 3 grandchildren. And I started a blog about grandparenting partly because I was a new grandparent. Yeah. But I found that there wasn't a website out there that really talked about what to me is the most important part of grandparenting, which is supporting adult children as they become parents. So I started a blog about grandparenting, and to really understand what needed to be talked about, I spent a lot of time on both grandparenting forums and on places that parents were talking, like Reddit. I could see that there was a real disconnect between what grandparents were experiencing and what parents were experiencing. And they weren't communicating well about what the struggles were, what the challenges were, what they needed from each other. And so I thought this blog would be a great place to tackle some of those conversations. And it just grew from there.
Oh, I think that's so fascinating, this connection. And I would love for you to explain a little bit more why you think that really good grandparenting has everything to do with the relationship that you have with the parents of your grandchildren as much as it does with the relationship with the grandchild.
Parents are the gateway to the grandchildren, for one thing. You can think of them as the gatekeepers, whether that's a positive or a negative thing to you. But really, you can't spend time with your grandchildren especially when they're young. You can't have a relationship with your grandchildren if parents don't want you around. If you have made it difficult for them to invite you into their life, they're not going to do that. They're going to hold you at arm's length. And I really focus on those early years because that's when the patterns are set for the rest of your life. And today's parents are very different from parents of the past. Part of that is social media. Part of that is the state of the world right now. There's a lot that parents are dealing with that we didn't deal with as parents. And so we need to understand what they need in order to be the grandparents that can be involved in their lives.
I love that you say that we have to find out what they need, what the parents need in order to be there as a grandparent. So let's dive into that. What do you think has changed specifically about parenting today that grandparents maybe misunderstand?
I think the biggest one is because parents today really do have so much more access to information than we had. I mean, when we were parents, we had maybe one or two parenting books, Parents Magazine, and then our pediatrician, and we turned to our mom or our older sister or
And don't
our
you think
neighbor.
it was easier just to say, oh, we'll just kind of wing it? Like,
Yes,
a little
absolutely.
bit. And then not to get so much backlash.
Yes, absolutely. We really kind of parented on instinct. We had some guidelines that we got, but we either kind of repeated what our parents did or moved away from that. But I don't think we felt that there was an absolute right and wrong way to do everything. Parents today very much feel like there is a path that they must follow for them to be a good parent. A lot of that is because of social media. They are being bombarded with information about every aspect of parenting all the time. And it makes it hard to understand that there is nuance, that there are a million ways to be a good parent. And even when you've decided what it is you want to do as a parent, it's okay if you mess up, right? Your child's going to make it through. And grandparents
You're going to mess up.
You're going to mess up.
Like, not intentionally, but it's just part of the gig.
It is
Yes.
part of the gig. And parents today have so much anxiety around doing it right because there is the information, the pressure, the seeing these people, following these experts on social media that may or may not be really prescribing the best thing for your child. And so if you come in as a grandparent and try to give advice, that's the last thing they need. They are
You
getting
mean don't say back in my day? don't do that. I wouldn't do that.
Exactly. They've got advice coming at them 24/7 from all sorts of places. What you need to come in with is encouragement because they're not getting that on social media. They're not getting that even from their pediatrician usually.
Wow.
You need to come in with oh my gosh, you're doing such a great job.
And this is a hard job. Okay, so
is a
I'd
hard
love for you
job.
to expand a little bit on that. What do you think that a healthy relationship looks like with that new parent?
I think it's the same as any healthy relationship. It's mutual respect. It's listening to one another. It's taking the other person's perspective into account. Those are the things that make any relationship healthy. And it's no different with your adult children.
In communicating that kind of respect and mutual instead of like, oh, I want to help. I'm just imagining myself in this situation of wanting to help and anticipating this grandchild so much and being like, what? Maybe I could do this.
Yes.
Maybe I could do this. And showing that respect is just as important as feeling it, obviously. So what do you think are some conversations that happen ahead of time before the baby arrives to really prevent future conflicts or to set it up in the right way?
Absolutely. You need to talk about your expectations, both parents and grandparents. You clearly have a picture in your mind of what you want to do and
I
be
do.
as a grandparent.
Yeah.
And so you need to go to your kids when that baby is on its way and say, okay, let's talk about this because I want to be involved in this child's life and I want to support you. So what would that support look like to you? And then work into, here's what I'm hoping for as a grandmother. Here is what I would love to be able to do. How does that work for you? How can we make that happen? Or are there things about that that don't work for you? There are areas of your life as a grandparent that are very important to you, which may not be so important to your adult children. And I know faith is one that really can drive families apart. So as a grandparent, that's one of the reasons that you need to have these conversations ahead of time to make sure you're on the same page about those things.
Oh, I'd love for you to expand a little bit more on that.
Well, I think sometimes things like, as a grandparent, you're anticipating Christmas. Like you just already can see what Christmas is going to look like with this grandbaby. And it's going to be so amazing every year. Well, parents may actually want to spend Christmas with their little family. They may need to spend every other year with the in-laws. You need to come to the conversation like, what are we going to do about holidays? How are holidays going to look for us so that everybody gets the time we need? That's a conversation you can have ahead of time. Now, obviously, it's one that can change, right? When you get right down to it, that parents may realize, no, we can't do every other Christmas with you. We're going to do every third Christmas with you and have one by ourselves or whatever. But having those conversations ahead of time can really head off the agony of finding yourself not getting to see your grandbaby on Christmas morning, right?
Right. What are some of the most common mistakes that new grandparents make, do you think, that you want to shine a light to say, hey, get ready?
They shift into grandparenting mode completely and forget that they are still parents to their adult children. So they just kind of stop nurturing that relationship, stop showing parents how much they love them, and they walk into the house and say, oh, where's the baby? Instead of, oh, hi, how are you? And how's your day going so far? They just shift all their attention to the grandchild. And I hear that from parents all the time, and it's just heartbreaking.
Oh, yeah, because they're going through a huge change, too. And
yes,
you need your mom, You
need your mom. You may not want your mom's advice, but you still need your mom, right?
Yeah.
That's one of the really big ones. And I think another one is buying into some of the myths we hear about grandparenting. Oh, it's all about spoiling your grandchildren. Grandma's house, grandma's rules. Things like that make great t-shirts, but they don't really make very good relationship advice.
Yeah, good for the merch, not good for the relationship.
Exactly.
Got it.
Exactly. So I think that's another big mistake. And then also not realizing when parents set a boundary that it's important to them. They've done it because it's important, and it's important for you to respect that.
Even if you don't agree with it.
Especially if you don't agree with it. It's not your choice to decide what is important to them. You get to decide how you show up, and the best way to show up is to respect them and their choices for their child.
How do you think that grandparents can really support new parents in a generous way without overstepping?
Yeah, that's hard, right?
Asking for a friend who's worried about that.
It comes down to communication, right? It's like, what do you need from me? How can I be involved? When can I be involved? Is it okay if I drop by every day after work just for 5 minutes? Or can we come every month to visit? Just to have those conversations. And parents will tell you it's a shift for them too, to be able to set those boundaries with their parents. Sometimes that comes across as laying down very rigid rules. And that can be a hard shift with this child that you've always had this great relationship with. And all of a sudden they and their spouse have this list of 20 things that you have to do if you want to see the baby. But for other adult children, they don't know how to say it. They don't know how to put a rule in front of their mom that they've always respected and done what she said. So it's so helpful if a parent is the one that comes and says, let's set some boundaries together. Let's talk about what's going to work.
What a generous way to sort of pass the baton by saying that I have confidence in you as a parent and I'm going to respect your boundaries. Yeah. So what are they? You get to decide this for this relation.
And they may not know, right? They may not know, but what you have done is established that you are willing to have those conversations, right? And that is the most important thing you can do ahead of time, is establish that you want to have open, honest communication.
What do you do in those cases, though, where these boundaries are hurtful and you don't like them? I've heard so many different stories of like, oh, I wasn't able to hold the baby for the first year. I wasn't able. I mean, like, it feels extreme to me. I don't know all the details. Or, you know, I can only visit on this time and under these circumstances, and I can't babysit. Like, wildly different kinds of boundaries. When you are having, as the grandparent, big, intense feelings about that, what advice do you have for those grandparents?
Find a trusted therapist, a best friend, a spouse to complain to. You have to express those feelings, but do not bring them up with the parents, especially when they have those really strict boundaries, like the don't hold the baby. They're very anxious. They are very stressed. And anything you say to them is only going to prove to them that you don't respect them, that you don't understand them. So hang on. They're going to figure it out. They're going to realize that all of that was probably over the top. That second baby comes along and they're like, here you go, right?
Right. I know. Please come over and watch the baby.
Exactly.
I'm so tired. You know, and it may come and it may not.
And it may not, you're right. But it doesn't help your relationship with them if you're coming to them with these complaints.
Okay.
Yeah.
I trust you. I know, because I do think that's true. I'm wondering how you feel about major disagreements on child rearing when I'm thinking like hot topics.
Those are the things that can really tear families apart if you let them. And
I agree.
If you feel so strongly about something that you would rather tear the family apart than let it go, then you need to say something. But most of the time, as hard as it is, you have to let parents make those choices. I know some of them can be incredibly hurtful. Faith is a big one that is devastating to grandparents when their children decide to raise their child without faith or in a different faith. That can be a really hard one. But what is your ultimate goal, right? Is it to have a relationship with these people or to have your idea of what is right prevail?
Well, I want both.
Yeah, of course. No, I know.
I'm just teasing. I appreciate that measured response of like, take a beat.
Yeah, it's tough. I get emails from grandparents all the time, like the vaccine one is a big one. My kids are not vaccinating my grandchildren and it's killing me. And I don't have a good answer. I just, try to make it clear what your values are. That's fine, but make it clear without trying to impose those on them.
Expressing and imposing are two different things,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And I'm wondering, are there certain sort of phrases in sharing your own experience? Because I found this as when I was a new mom, I did ask my mom and other trusted adults, like, well, what did you do? Or what do you think about this? And I would ask for their opinion. And sometimes as a mom, I've said the same. I've just offered that. And sometimes it's, hey, tell me what you think. And other times it's, hey, I'm going to do it differently, which is fine. That's how it is. Yeah. Is there a better phrase? Is there a better approach than, well, that's not what I did. That's not how we used to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. When you are ready to say, that's not what we did, what you say is, oh my gosh, that's so different than the way we did it. It's all in the delivery.
It is.
Can you tell me where I can learn more about this?
Yeah.
So if you come in with curiosity instead of judgment, which is exactly what it is when you're saying, that's not what we did, come in with curiosity. Oh my gosh. Wow, I'd never heard of that. Can you explain it to me or tell me where I can learn more about it? Better yet, spend the time up front learning about what these modern parenting trends are and, what the latest in baby care and safety is, because things have changed. And oh my gosh, I mean, if you have 5 children, they changed between child 1 and child 5.
Oh, right? Completely about swaddling them and keeping them on their back or their side or their tummy.
Yeah, exactly.
If they can nap in a car seat or not. Oh my gosh. Have there been some things that have been particularly surprising to you?
Oh, I think the sleeping in the car seat one was a big one. It's like, but what?
But they sleep so well. Why not?
Exactly.
Like,
exactly. What? And there's a really good reason for it. So that's the thing that grandparents need to understand is that all of these changes are evidence-based. The research that we have now compared to even 10 years ago on brain development and gut development is just crazy. When you're suggesting to put some rice cereal in the bottle so they'll sleep when they're 2 months old, that's so bad for their digestive system.
Yeah.
It can cause lifelong problems. But we didn't know that then. Our parents didn't know that, or it's accumulated experience and information. So you have to be open to that.
I love that. Accumulated experience and information. And aren't we glad we have it?
Yes.
Because that is the benefit of the grandparents' wisdom.
Yes.
I'm just imagining someone who is listening to this right now who has already overstepped boundaries, has made mistakes because we're all human, and wants to really rebuild that trust and kind of start over. What advice do you have for a grandparent who is in that situation?
I think you really kind of have to humble yourself and start back at the beginning with, I messed up some things. I came into this in a way that really was all about me, or that didn't respect what you were saying, or I didn't understand. Whatever it is, own up to what you have done, tell them what you want to do to repair it, and ask them how they want you to show up in the future, and then be open to that. And I have had grandparents come to me and said that that's what they did. They started following me on Instagram, and they have gone to their children and said, okay, I am so sorry about doing this, this, and this, and let's move forward. Can we move past this? And how does that look to you?
Wow. Yeah, see, there can be change and can be repair. That's got to be encouraging to everyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so I'm wondering about some specifics, if you will share with me, especially when childcare is involved. And I'm thinking about a situation where it's been established that a grandparent is taking care of a grandchild for, extended period of time, maybe just intermittently, it doesn't matter. What good boundaries would you want to make sure are put in place to set that situation up for the best success?
It's a big one because so many grandparents are providing childcare right now. Childcare is so expensive, and a lot of grandparents have to step in to fill that gap. But too often they step in without anybody having a conversation about what that's going to look like. Who's providing the food? Who's in charge if the grandparent gets sick? Do you get time off, right? Are you providing full-time childcare 52 weeks a year? Those are things that all need to be worked out in advance, just the way you would if you were hiring a nanny.
Oh, yeah. Just treat it the same way, like the same interview. Treat it the same way,
like this is the same, go through all those steps so that you both know what to expect. And I think the most important thing to do is to set up a regular meeting to review how things are going, because a lot of grandparents step into this role thinking this is going to be amazing, and then realize, okay, but now I'm 63 years old. I actually cannot do 40 hours of childcare a week.
That's exhausting.
I'm exhausted. I can see it impacting my health. And that's something that parents don't really realize, that it's not the same as you age. And it's a lot harder to keep that momentum going for all those hours of the day. So what grandparents end up doing is they end up giving up their leisure time. They end up giving up their time to go out with friends, their volunteer opportunities, whatever else they may have had going on in their life. They no longer have any time or energy for that if they're providing more childcare than they can handle. So those are all things to think of in advance. And
absolutely.
To really consider from both sides.
Is there any other specific information that you would want to encourage grandparents to set up so that will prevent burnout in any case?
Yeah, I've got a couple of articles on my website about it because there are so many little things, right? There are so many things to consider, but you do need to know what happens when you need to do something else, when you realize you need a break. You need to talk about discipline ahead of time too, because that's a big hot spot with how are you going to handle it? Or do you have to handle it exactly as parents did? Or how much flexibility are you going to have in what you do? Our parents are going to be horrified if they come home and find that you have the child in front of the TV screen because you have absolutely run out of juice that day. So those are things to talk about. Screen time's a big one for parents right now.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And having those conversations ahead of time so that you're on the same page instead of finding out later is, I think, would be a big one.
Yeah. Absolutely.
What do you think grandparents' superpowers are? And maybe they're appreciated or underappreciated when dealing with and being with their grandchildren and with their own children.
As far as their grandchildren are concerned, they have time and patience that we didn't have when we were parents, right? There was too much to do all the time. And as grandparents, you can really sit and listen and connect with your grandchild in a way that parents probably are not able to do very often. So that is really a gift to your grandchildren, is being able to focus on them in a way their parents just can't.
Yeah.
And you're not coming in as the disciplinarian either. You're coming in to really cherish that child and the relationship that you have. And I think for parents, your greatest superpower is the perspective you have. You know that they are going to make it through this. You know that their children are going to turn out fine and that they don't need to worry so much. You can't tell them that. They're not going to believe you. Mm-hmm. They're not going to want to hear it. But it does allow you to support them in the way that they need, because you know that it's going to be fine, right? It's not the way you would have done it. It might not make any sense to you, but you also know it'll be fine.
They're going to survive,
They're going to survive.
What do you think are some of your favorite ways to foster like a family identity and a family culture as a grandparent?
Having those little rituals as a family are really, really powerful. We made 4th of July our family holiday.
Okay.
There's no pressure around it. Hopefully everybody can come and we can be together. And that way we have our own family time. And we have all sorts of things that we do during that week. You know, if they're up here, it's Donut Friday is a big event. How simple is that, right?
Yeah, no kidding. Donuts. Yeah,
Donut Friday.
But, for kids, they remember those things. It makes things that seem ordinary very memorable.
Absolutely. And that's all it takes. Just little rituals that they can look forward to, that they can count on, that bring everybody together. Those are the things that really make a difference and make a family.
Really sweet. What are some things that parents could start doing now, even before they have grandchildren, to set themselves up for success?
Well, I think one of them is to temper your expectations, right?
Got it. Fine. Okay. Just kidding.
No, but in reality...
No, but it's never going to be what you think it's going to be.
And that's what you need to accept right up front.
Yes.
It's not going to look just like your mother as a grandmother or your best friend and her grandchildren. It's going to be different. The other thing that you can do is really work on your relationship with your children's partners. And if you are not 100% accepting of that partner, it's going to be a lot harder to be the grandparent that you want to be. Make your daughters-in-law feel loved and included and part of the family. Make your sons-in-law understand how important they are to you and how much you appreciate that they love your daughter. Do those things ahead of time, because once the kids come, if they think that this relationship that you're all of a sudden forming with them is because of the baby, that sends up their red flags.
Yeah, that's a really good one. That's really, something that you can do and you can work on that just has benefits outside of your grandparenting, though, too.
Exactly.
Even if just for family culture.
Just for family culture, because, they may not have children, but they're still going to be a part of your family life, and it's going to be a whole lot better if they feel included and loved. So,
people are having fewer children, and a lot of children are choosing to not have children. Yeah. And I think that's why what you're saying, too, about focusing on the relationship that you have with your children or the parent is so vital, because regardless, that is a relationship worth treasuring anyway, regardless. What are your thoughts on the current trends of less grandchildren?
Yeah, I can understand them. I can understand what parents are feeling, both economically, and the world seems a little bit scary right now, and it is very expensive to have kids. So I completely understand it. I do think that that's one of the reasons that grandparents are kind of overstepping their bounds so often, is because they, A, don't have so many children as families in the past, and B, have even fewer grandchildren. So that attention is just concentrated in a way that it hasn't been in the past. You know, my mom has 17 grandchildren, right? She loves them all, but is she hyper-focused on making sure that she goes to every performance of every grandchild?
Can't. Yeah.
Oh, no. Right? That is just not a thing. So, yeah, I think that that's something that is really definitely
that's interesting.
A change for us all.
We talk a little bit about what expectations to sort of let go of and have grandparents let go of. What can they look forward to? What do you want to say to all of the grandparents, future grandparents?
It's really important for grandparents to realize that this is a new role for you. It is not something you've ever done.
Yeah.
And you would not expect to come into any other role in life without some preparation. So it's important to prepare for this role just the way you would for any other. Learn what's new. Figure out what your role's going to look like. Find out what the expectations of management are. And
that's funny. I like that.
And make it a concerted effort to really become the best grandparent you can be by preparing.
I like that. Be prepared for that. I think listening to this conversation could be a great way, co-listening, just to open up that door to have some difficult conversations that don't have to be super difficult, that can just be clear, to set everyone up for success, which is just the care and love and nurturing of these children that come into the world.
Absolutely. And I have a lot of resources on my website for new grandparents and parents, a lot of blog posts on various topics. So it's a great place for new grandparents or for parents who are getting ready to have that first baby to check out and
take a deeper dive, maybe.
Take a deeper dive into some of these things.
So many takeaways from this grandparenting masterclass with DeeDee. I just want to reiterate what she said about learning a new role. I found that really comforting. Just like parenting, you don't come into this phase of life having all the answers. And that's okay. More important than knowing exactly what to do in the beginning is knowing what questions to ask and being willing to take the notes. I thought DeeDee's insights into our kids having way too much information was so interesting. Has it ever occurred to you that these kids are more sensitive to feedback and advice than we ever were with our parents? It's not personal, even if it feels a little personal. New parents in today's world are inundated with experts and hot takes and new research, and it all adds up to immense anxiety and rigidity about taking care of their children. The best thing we can do, which will also maximize our relationships and time spent both with our kids and grandkids, is to say, I know you can do this, and I'll be here to support you in whatever way works for you. And if it's difficult or awkward, or if you've already done something different or gotten a different reaction, it's not too late to say, I'd love to start over and learn your methods. These conversations are more important than ever. And so is finding your own ways to make it fun. I love DeeDee's tradition of July 4th and Donut Fridays. You may not get to be prescriptive about where everyone spends Christmas, but you can find creative ways to invite connection and make new and beautiful traditions together. Maybe best of all, in my situation, as I wait for prayers to be answered and for the heavens to open and pour out upon me so many grandchildren that there's hardly room enough to receive them. Listen, I believe in miracles. In the meantime, I can invest in my relationships with my kids and their partners. It starts now.
The Lisa Show is a production of BYU Radio, hosted by Lisa Valentine Clark. This episode was produced by Becca Hurley-Long, with help from Erica Price and Blake Morse, with post-production by Gracie Davis. A special thanks to today's guest, DeeDee Moore. DeeDee Moore is the founder of More Than Grand, a resource full of tips and resources for new and seasoned grandparents alike. A link to her website and Instagram will be in the show notes. Don't miss out on two other amazing podcasts from the Lisa Show family, The Council of Moms and Proofread, a new book review podcast to help you read more of what you love. You can find The Council of Moms and Proofread on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. As always, thanks for your messages. We read them all, and thanks for listening.
Do you find yourself avoiding the news because of how depressive and divisive it all seems, but still want to stay informed? You are not alone. Top of Mind, a BYU Radio original podcast, understands how polarizing these conversations can be and wants to help you engage in the challenge while seeking understanding. With the goal of developing empathy for others, Top of Mind helps you clarify your own views, become an effective advocate for the things that you care about, and challenges your way of thinking so you can become a better citizen and a kinder neighbor. Listen to Top of Mind now on the BYU Radio app or wherever you get your podcasts.